please, for Monday, August 10th, 2026. Now the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting from June 1st, 2026, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Maria?
So we received a challenge affidavit from Mr. Joseph Litz in reference to Tracy Bruno's voter registration. And Tracy did provide, I'll give this to you, a letter as required by the request.
Thank you.
Just some background, Tracy transferred from Northumberland County. She did an online voter registration process by our elections assistant, Erin, on April 28th. It was transferred, so it takes a little bit for other counties to transfer in, so she was registered here on May 1st, 2020. And to register online, you have to use your driver's license. Do you have any questions for Tracy?
The question to me, I don't know how it works, because I have businesses in Lock Haven and Rebel, but I live outside of Lock Haven, so I can't swear on this council. As long as you have a residence and you're 6 months living in Renova, I don't see the issue.
Well, the burden is on the person who's challenged, which would be Ms. Bruno, to present evidence to show, to satisfy the board, basically, that her residence is where she claims it is. So if she has a driver's license or utility bills or anything like that, whether, I think now would be the time for her to provide those to the board.
Okay.
Stand up or whatever.
I have my tax return, and what was written is, said that my business, I owned Outer Image, I no longer own Outer Image. I opened my salon at 1075 Sunset Drive. Here's all my tax returns from 2025. I opened it up in 2024. I sold Outer Image in 2024, and then here. And then this is the book this is my appointment book that showed that all the days that I was in Renovo, and then I was in, and then here is receipts also in that property that we have in question. I had it inspected because unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I built a property in Renovo, and I didn't think I was gonna sell. I own about 12 properties in Renovo, and I built a brand new home there, and my husband and I have been in the Airbnb business since 2000, over 8 years now. And not knowing to me that I was going to sell 2 properties within 8 weeks. My husband and I planned on moving up to 300 Erie, our new property. Unbeknownst to me, I sold 2 properties in 8 weeks. And the thing is, I rented 1220 Erie, which I have every right to because I'm in an Airbnb business, and you can see all my taxes too. And also, here's utility bills. Plus, I had the place inspected as well by Joe Lyons, and I have the receipt there as well. I had it inspected by Joe Lyons because just in case that would happen. And so, I mean, I don't know really what else I can say on my defense,
Well,
but I have been harassed.
all right, let me try to work through this so we get through as quickly as we can. I don't know what all documents are up there.
That's what I'm saying, we gotta get it with you.
Yeah,
You can quote it, I'll be.
yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. Do you have a copy of your driver's license in there?
Yeah, I know, but I have my driver's
All right,
license.
if I can look at that.
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the deed to the property in there anywhere?
What property is that?
The one you're claiming that where your residence is?
I don't have the detail. I own all these properties already. I didn't know I had to bring them.
You don't, I'm just asking if you have it. I'm not saying it's good or bad if you don't. I'm just asking if it's in there.
something like that. But sir, and I must say this too, that since 1990, I have sent my bills to my business because unfortunately, I did not want my husband to see my credit card bills. So I would send all my bills to my business. And so if you go back in my bills, go back and check the research on me, 28 Bound Avenue, 17 Bound Avenue, 28 Bound Avenue, 10, and now it's 1075 Sunset Drive. And I send all my bills there because I've had an assistant, which if I have to bring that up from my accountant, for 25 years who paid my bills. So I made sure that all my bills were paid, from my Renovo bills to my home bills. I just sent them there because I had someone there to do my job.
Okay.
So, to be honest with you, that's all I can say.
All right, let's just go down through these things,
Okay.
because rather than
Yes,
just go
right,
left, right, and all over
right.
the place here. So, I'm looking at a Pennsylvania driver's license for Tracy Elaine Bruno. It was issued on 9th of January 2024. It's current, and the address given is 1220 Erie Avenue, Renova, Pennsylvania, 17764. I'll hand this back to you then.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. The utility bills, the address on those, so you're saying that it's various places?
Yes, because I sent my bills to because sometimes, to be honest with you, until Gene moved up there before I did. So I still owned a big business in Milton. I had a 3,000 square foot business. I had 5 to 12 employees at any time. I felt that even though I had an Airbnb business in town, I just thought it was best that my voting things were down in the Milton area because my big business was down there. I had a small one Airbnb business on 11th Street, which I actually bought here, so for $1,600. And I renovated. I have renovated in that town over easily 7 properties. Plus, I developed 3rd Street, which I bought from the county, and developed and put a house there too. And my goal was to develop that area for the betterment of the town.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right. So you provided tax returns, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the address on the tax returns? Is there an address on the tax returns?
Yeah.
Here, why don't I just take these
Yeah,
and look
I
at
mean,
it? I'm trying to make this go as quickly as we can
I
here.
mean,
Thank you.
I don't even know. Sir, who are you?
I'm the county solicitor.
Oh,
We just brought this guy in once.
Yeah, you know, I just-
Listen, I've talked to so many different people, I don't know if I
So it's my job is to try to keep the legal things running
Listen,
smoothly.
thank you.
So that's-
Listen, well, I just wish you could
No,
have.
that's- I wish I would have introduced myself. All right, so here I'm looking at 2025 federal tax returns, and the home address listed on it was 1220 Erie Avenue, Renova, Pennsylvania, 17764. I'm looking at 2025 Pennsylvania income tax returns, same address in Renova, and with school district Keystone Central is where taxes are paid.
And then that's my business, once in my business, I pulled it out so that, because that says 1075, it should say 1075 Sunset Drive.
Yeah, this is.
That's what my business is.
So what this says, this is your Keystone Central tax return, and it says from January 1 of 25 to December 31 of 25, you and Mr. Bruno's address is 1220 Erie Avenue, Renova, with an old address of 1075 Sunset Drive in Milton. And it looks like it must have been sometime in 2025 is when you switched from Milton area Turbot Township to Renova Borough Keystone Central. So we also have, so we have the business which is in Milton, which I guess that's where the business is. 20.
Yeah, wait, that's the business.
Yeah, let me just see here. What else we have here?
Oh,
That's-
actually, I have a meeting with,
Oh, I'm not gonna look at that.
no, I have a meeting with, Senator
Let
Fetterman
me
today.
see what we've got in here too. So here is, this is the affidavit that you submitted. Here's a copy of codes professionals about the condition of that building. We have, that's an inspection report for 1220 Erie Avenue. This is your business registration, which is That is at 1075 Sunset Drive. That's your salon, okay. Oh, but your license for cosmetology as of November 26th is at 1220 Erie Avenue in Renova. Okay. Your sales tax license.
That was old.
That's for Outer Image, yeah, that's in Milton. Here's okay, that's your salon license for Milton. These are from 24. Okay, let me just, see what this is. No addresses on that document. Okay, so then we have, I don't know what this is.
Oh, well, that is my appointment book.
Oh,
So
is
that
there something you want me to look at? I don't want to rifle through.
I just wanted to show, because when the investigator called me, he said, do you have any proof, first place, that you spent any money? Now, I gave, one of the things with all the receipts that I spent money in Renova. I had to prove how much money I spent. I built a house up there. I spent $177,000 up there. So I had to prove that. I had to prove that I bought food in Renova, which I did when I do eat there. You know? But and how many people save their receipts? Well, fortunately, because I have an Airbnb, I do save all my receipts. So, you know, I'm pretty diligent about receipts.
Sure.
The appointment book to let the inspector know that he could look and see that, you know, I have right in there, work, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Go to Renova.
Right.
I mean, I can't do much anymore. I try to do everything I can that they ask me. And to be honest with you, I just can't believe that I sold 2 houses. Yes, I am renting that house out right now because I thought I was moving into 300 here, the brand new house I just built. But we sold it, and our goal was we were renovating property in Renova for the betterment and for the tax base in town. We've done everything on positive.
Okay, let me just summarize what I've seen, and then the board we'll go from there.
Yes, please.
So the driver's license shows 1220 Erie Avenue in Renova. The tax returns, all of them for 2025, including the payment of local tax, show 1220 Erie Avenue in Renova. There are various salon things that show a different address, but again, that's not her, that's her business. Those are the main things that I am seeing in here. And she, according to Ms. Boiluge, Ms. Bruno registered to vote, I think, at the end of April at 1220 Erie Avenue. And Ms. Boiluge is providing me with.
So that is what we got.
Okay.
The registration, I blacked out all the first.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was received on 4/22, it was registered on 5/1/2023. Came from this address to this address.
1220 Erie Avenue. Okay. Oh, that was in 2023, so that's been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if the board has questions, because this is a hearing, I guess we'll defer to the board then if they have any questions.
What is the residency requirement for municipal position in Pennsylvania?
You have to have your domicile there, which means that it is the place where when you intend to go, it's a kind of an amorphous thing, but it's when you intend to go home, that's where you intend to go. And so the indicia of that are things such as what I was looking at, driver's license, where the utilities, do you eat there, do you sleep there? Do you pay your taxes there? Is it the place that you've selected that even if you travel a lot, is that the place you come back to when you're done doing whatever it is you're doing?
Is there a number of day requirement?
There's not.
I guess this is a moot point then. So tell me a recommendation. I mean, I don't know, we're not gonna make a decision here, I don't think, right this today, but I guess we've gotta hear from the other side why we're not.
Well, I
What's the
have
issue?
a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm so sorry because it feels very intrusive to be looking at your personal things.
No, it doesn't bother me.
I do identify some discrepancy among the utility bills, and the reason I say that is because the UGI bills are addressed to Mr. Bruno, and then it shows where where the UGI bill is being billed to, so the property address of which it's being billed to. However, because you paid the UGI bills with the coupon at the bottom, it doesn't show where the UGI bill is actually being sent. What I recognize is that the PP&L bills that are in your name specifically are all being sent to Milton for each of the various addresses of the properties that you own in the Renovo area. And so while UGI is in Mr. Bruno's name, the PP&L is in Mrs. Bruno's name, and it shows the addresses in Renovo for which the service is being applied to, but then being mailed to your Milton address as the location for the bill to be sent for payment.
Yes, yes, yes. Like I said, I send most of my bills to Milton. It just makes it easier for me to do business, that's all. And anyone who has a business will understand.
So the way that the law sets up these proceedings, once the challenge affidavit is filed, the burden is on the person who has been challenged to provide evidence sufficient to show the board to satisfy the board that they in fact reside where it is that they're registered to vote. The statute doesn't say anything about the challenger providing any evidence at the hearing, but since this is a hearing, I think it's only fair at this level to allow the challenger the opportunity to do that if he so wishes. However, I would caution that all communication, as it has been up to this point today, be directed toward the board. So in other words, what we do not want to see in here is like back and forth between the challenger and the person challenged, or emotions flaring or anything like that. We're trying to avoid that and just look at the facts. So if the challenger has any evidence that he wishes to present or any argument that he wishes to present, I think now would be an appropriate time for that.
Thank you, Justin, perfect. Sir?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Litz. This isn't a complex case at all. This is a case where somebody has a set of Airbnbs, and we are proud of the Brunos, don't get me wrong. They're a very prominent family in our area, and Eugene was the former mayor. Unfortunately, they didn't live there at the beginning of his term, and they still don't live there. This is the house that's in question, the 1075 Milton address. The county detective, as was stated, investigated and has stated that these people do not live there. The mayor, Justin Lynn,
Do you have any evidence of what you just said about the county, detective, that evidence? Where is that evidence?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I figured I'd let him finish his opening statement, but that's okay.
Due to impropriety of the DA's office, he did not come today. Okay, I guess there's some kind of impropriety there.
I apologize. I'll make notes and then come back with
So
questions.
that will be for whatever comes after this. I do not know. So at the beginning of Mrs. Bruno's testimony, she stated that she does rent 1220 Erie Avenue out as a Airbnb. That is in her own words. That's accurate. Another thing for the evidence that I would like to show is why they live in Milton. And if you live at 1220 Erie Avenue in Renovo, PA, and that's your primary residence, then why did you register your house or your new Airbnb at the third corner of 3rd and Erie at your Milton address?
All right, so what I'm going to do is, we're not going to have back and forth questioning here. I think the challenger can make statements as to what he thinks are issues, and then we'll give the challenged person an opportunity to respond.
I don't really have any questions. I have some base evidence. This is from the county GIS system. It states emphatically who owns what. If you'd like, I can bring this up for you. And yesterday night, Justin Lynn, the mayor of Renovo, here's a picture of these 1075 if you need it, and then also for These are the photos of the residents there now. But there's a video that he posted that shows the residents of that who are renting the Airbnb located at 1220 Erie Avenue. They have been there for a long time. We have pictures, as you can see, and I'll play that video. But the residents that all stay in the house, and then they're also, I guess, against quote borough ordinance, renting out the garage as well. When asked that Dave Bruno go and, or Dave Walker go and inspect 1220 Erie Avenue, that was pretty much the end of that conversation. I do not know if he has done it yet.
Dave Walker.
Dave Walker is the
He's the ordinance person, it's the code inspector.
He is the code inspector, yes, but he's also a sitting
We're not going back and forth.
town council member. She's correct. She's correct. And the borough keeps very good records on attendance. These guys regularly do not show up for town council meetings. Every time I live in town. Okay, so every time I go around the horn, these people are never here. I've only ever seen Eugene sitting out in front of his house maybe once or twice. Beautiful house, by the way. Is it an Airbnb? Yes, she admitted that. Do they have to reside there as a primary residence? Yes, they do. I think that was smoking gun evidence, but if we need to look at more, there's a video right here of the residents that are staying there right now. There are several Southerners from Texas, as you can see from the photos.
Mr. Litz, I'd just like to point out a discrepancy in case you have a correction, and that is the GIS parcel viewer that you shared with us is 300 Erie Avenue, and the residence in question is 1220 Erie Avenue.
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me ask you, if your home is in Renovo, and you just built your new home in Renovo, why would you not register it to your home in Renovo? That's your primary residence.
So in this clause, I guess I will, if there are other questions from the board, now would be a good time for those. I would indicate that under the statute's very sparse as far as how these proceedings are to be conducted, but ordinarily in cases like this, we rely on what's called the Administrative Procedures Act, which means that we don't have the strict standard of evidence here that you have in a court. However, evidence that is purely, but let's say evidence that would be purely hearsay of something would, while there's no form here to object to it, it would be given relatively little weight, because if something can't be corroborated, it will be given relatively little weight, so that guides the board. If the board has questions of the challenger, now would be a good time for that. And then we'll have Ms. Bruno make any response that she wishes to make.
So Mr. Litz, I personally know people who have a primary residence and operate an Airbnb out of that residence. They live in that home. That's their primary residence. So what would be any difference with the Brunos having a primary residence and doing the same thing? There are a lot of people in this area that do that.
So is the residency requirement that is your residence? That that's the place that you come home to every night? Is that what the basic meaning of that definition is?
Well, to clarify, I believe the solicitor said that that's the residence, the primary residence is where they return home. He didn't say every night. And I think that's what my question was about a residence requirement. In your information, you said, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that they had to be a residence 30 days or something prior to an election. Solicitor is indicating that there really is no number of days requirement to seek and hold a municipal office. So I'm just asking if you would agree that there are people in the community that run an Airbnb out of their home, but that's their primary residence. And, you know, fortunately in this area, we have a lot of people looking for extra income, and that's what they do. And there's nothing wrong with it.
So you can live in your residence for one day and run for mayor or run for board and then leave for the other 30. Is that what the residency requirement?
And I would ask the
I mean-
solicitor for his opinion, that's why he's here.
Yeah, so let me just read from the statute that Maria has very efficiently and helpfully printed out. And it says, first of all, in terms of qualification to vote, you must reside in the election district for 30 days preceding the election. However, the question that I understood you asking, Commissioner, earlier was, is there a specific amount of time that you have to physically be there to reside there? And so when you get to what the rules for determining residence are, I'll read those out, so that can be of some guidance to the board.
Thank you.
In determining the residence of a person desiring to register or vote, the following rules shall be followed, so far as they may be applicable. That place shall be considered the residence of a person in which his habitation is fixed, and to which, whenever he is absent, he has the intention of returning. That's the thing I quoted earlier. A person shall not be considered to have lost his residence who leaves his home and goes into another state or another election district of this state for temporary purposes only, with the intention of returning. A person shall not be considered to have gained a residence in any election district of this state into which he comes for temporary purposes only, without the intention of making such election district his permanent place of abode. The place where the family of a married man or woman resides shall be considered and held to be his or her place of residence, except where the husband and wife have actually separated and live apart, in which case the place where he or she has resided for 2 months or more shall be considered and held to be his or her place of residence. And then it talks about a person leaving the state, which we don't have that here. Then in District of Columbia or other federal territory, or if you vote somewhere else, you're considered to have lost your residence. Let me just look down through here and see if there's anything else that I did not quote here. No, I'm just looking at the. All right, that's pretty much it. So it's basically, is it your place where you intend to return to whenever you're absent? And again, some of the things that the board would look at in that regard are where's the driver's license, where are the taxes paid, do they actually spend any time there, do they pay bills there, and so some factors may go one way, some factors may go another, but those are the types of things that help you determine, okay, when they're gone for their business or whatever it is, where do they intend to return to?
Thank you, Jess.
Am I allowed to say something?
If they're done asking questions, we can give you your turn.
Okay, Tracy, can you give us the formal name of your business?
Yes, it's Tracy Bruno Salon. It used to be Outer Image, and then I sold it in 2024. And then I worked for the young, well, I think we sold it in 2023, and then I worked for the young woman for about 1.5 years. And then, personally, I was doing way too much there, and I decided just to go on my own. And we have a property in Milton, and I decided I had the space, and everything's done legal. It is inspected by the state, and it is Tracy Bruno Salon. I took my core clients with me, about 25 people, and that's really what I do. And I usually work, and you can see the book.
Does your Airbnb business have a name?
I always called it a different thing all the time, but it was Bruno's Rentals. But if you look at my tax return too, everything had a name, and if you go on Airbnb, you would see, but I've sold most of them. Everything had a name, like one was Home Sweet Home, one was,
The overarching business was Bruno.
yes, I did. I owned 5 different properties, and I've sold them over the last like 2+ years. Unfortunately, we cleaned 5 properties, 7 properties actually. It was getting to my end. It was getting to be a little too much for me. But like I said, everything I've done was to benefit Renovo. I went to Commissioner Jeff Snyder when I said that I wanted to develop that land and told him what my idea was. is that I really just wanted to see, you know, for better.
Is there a reason why?
But I say something what he's saying. I've been at every meeting except one. When my daughter was sick, I had to go to Nashville. That's the only time I never went to a meeting. So that's false. My daughter had surgery, so I had to go to Nashville. So that's the only time I have ever missed a meeting. And I've been on the hospital board for 7 years. And in that 7 years, in 7 years, I have probably missed maybe 4 or 5 meetings. And when I was nominated, they handed me a book about grants. And I have been doing everything I can to find grants for Renova. I am working with Harry and Tracy right now. Penn State Extension to try to find some grants. So we could digitize the borough and also the hospital.
How many properties are you currently paying taxes on?
I pay taxes for 1220 here, 9th Street. I pay for 6th Street, which I have a garage. We have three lots. We live.
It's about 8. Now you got 3 lots up on 3rd Street after the house was sold. We have the lot on 6th Street where the garage sits. We have 1220 plus there's 6 lots there next to it we bought from the Housing Authority. And we have the lot on 9th Street, which is residential / commercial, kind of corner of the Catholic Church.
Also, my father bought the property from the county and he redeveloped that, which brought tax base into everything I've done is to upgrade properties and bring tax base into the town.
The 2 lots on 3rd Street are developed. The electric, the water, the sewer is already pulled up with the potential to someday somebody come in and buy them.
How many properties do you pay taxes on?
1.
2. Actually, we own a lot across the
Oh,
street.
yeah, there's a
We
big
own a lot
lot across the street. I built a garage on. 2.
2.
And I've been there since 1992. I taught school down there for 35 years. I presently coach down there.
And I've owned a business in Milton since 1989. And I grew a 1-person business to one time 12-person. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. And then I came to Renova and I built an Airbnb business, which it was thriving. And also I can bring all my tax returns in to show you how it started.
In fact, she was the pioneer of the Airbnb business up there. Everybody said it wouldn't work. Now everybody and their mother's doing it, and that was the reason we're starting to fade out now.
And also we're getting older. And I can only clean so much.
Justin, you read the state regulation and the federal regulation on the home and all that stuff, how long we had to reside there and everything. Renova Borough wouldn't have an ordinance in place that would say that you can't be on the board or you can't be on the board without spending 6 months or something like that, correct?
No, and if they did, it wouldn't override what state law is.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I'm double checking.
And also, I rented my house out. They will be there for like 2.5 months. So, like I said, we were going to move in the 300 area. Did I think that I had the house for sale for a 1.5 years, that house, 11th Street, we're gonna either move into 11th Street or I was gonna move the pipeliners up to 11th Street. I wasn't moving into the new house because it was for sale. And so I just said, you know what, I have an opportunity, and it's how I make a living too. I'm semi-retired, I only work part-time in my salon, which my appointment book shows you. And then I go back and forth. And to be honest with you, I have a pool up there that last year I used, that anyone can tell you where I am. I mean, I don't, I don't go out and hang around town. I don't do things. I hang out in my backyard. It's my oasis. But unfortunately, I rented it out for the next 2.5 months because I'm a business person and when the gentlemen leave, and I have done that also because it's hard to find places in town to rent. So, it's been my business.
So just to clarify, quite honestly, you just confused me a little bit with how you're renting and moving and stuff. What is your
where I live at 1220 Erie Avenue, Nova, Pennsylvania. My business is at 1075 Sunset Drive, Milton. Fortunately for me, I own that property that my business is in, that I may stay there instead of running back and forth to the property, which I don't feel but like I said, I haven't.
But the Brunos drive up and down that road 3 times a week. We were up there 4 times last week. Remember, we have to maintain them properties. We have to cut grass. We keep care of our properties
We do
like
everything.
most don't.
Right, we do
Okay.
everything we can.
We were up there
to
3
benefit
times
the
last
borough.
week. We go up and average it 3 times a week and have to drive back right now because of the situation that
Right.
occurred. We're not complaining. She'll be going up Wednesday night to the council meeting. She's never missed a council meeting but one when our daughter was sick and she zoomed that one.
And I zoomed it from the hospital.
So, to be clear, to Commissioner Snyder's point, currently 1220 Erie Ave is being rented for approximately 2.5 months, and in the meantime, while you're capitalizing on the opportunity to generate revenue, you're staying in Milton while that location is rented.
Yes. And I had Joe Lyons come and check that just because even though I don't rent it out all the time and I've never done that before, I had Joe Lyons come and do it so that I did everything, up and up. I just wanted to make sure that, that I didn't cause any trouble for the council or the borough and do my due diligence as a business person.
Just so we get it, there's really no record of this proceeding, but just so we get it out for everybody to hear, I'll ask the question. Ms. Bruno, when the rental is done on 1220 Erie Avenue, is it your intention to return to that residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted that
Yes, sir.
information on the record. Well, such records here is.
And furthermore, Joseph, if I may, does that 2.5 month absence create any issues with her being a elected official or borough council?
Not if she maintains her residence there. And again, the question, or the standard in that statute is that if she went to another district, for another election district, for temporary purposes only, without the intention of making the other district her permanent place of abode, it does not affect her residence in the district from which she's temporarily absent under the statute.
Tracy, do you happen to know if borough council has any bylaws, because we are aware with some of
Yeah,
our authorities
yeah,
that
they
if you
don't-
miss,
they do.
let me finish please, that if you miss X number of meetings in a row unexcused, that you can be removed from council.
No, they don't. When I was mayor, there's people that weren't there for 4 months at a time.
Thank you.
I don't really know that.
Since
But I do go to all the meetings, whether it's the hospital, or I Zoom them for some reason that I may not know.
Since
She drives up for a 6 o'clock meeting. By the time we get out and start, she's driving down that Lock Haven Road and then down 80 to get back.
Since she's an elected official, the borough council, well, only in very limited circumstances could do anything to remove her under the law. But it also, the challenge here, we can discuss whatever is helpful to the board, but just so everybody's on the same page, the challenge here is only to her registration, not to whether she properly holds the office or not.
Gentleman in the back had a question.
I'm not sure if it's relevant anymore, but would it be pertinent to ask how many nights in the year she's stayed overnight in Milton versus how many nights throughout the year she's stayed in the 1220 property? Does it make sense?
Well, I think based on what our solicitor has told us, that it might not be relevant because she has the authority to rent her property at 1220 Renovo and stay somewhere else as long as there's always the intention to go back to 1220 is the way I interpreted what Justin told us.
That's the law. Now, Ms. Bruno wants to answer that question at all she can, or not. That's up to her.
No, I choose not to.
Thank you.
It's not a question coming from the board or the challengers. So.
Right, I choose not to.
Justin, go ahead.
Come to ask.
What's standard protocol here?
Well,
Do you want to discuss it with you after? Is that?
I think I should render some advice. I think that here's what I would suggest that we do. I suggest that we take a brief recess or executive session for me to provide you with advice confidentially, and then we reconvene here in just a few minutes, and you take a vote on whether the challenge is sustained or the challenge is dismissed. Then I can put something in writing for your reasoning on that, mail it out to the challenger and the challengee, and then they can take such steps as they believe may be appropriate.
Justin, excuse me.
Yes.
Solicitor Hauser, would it be appropriate this time to ask both of the constituents to provide any closing statements they have before we go into executive session?
You're certainly welcome to do that. That's fine. If they'd like to do that, they certainly can.
I have one request for the board, and that, to like the solicitor, a short continuance of these proceedings to subpoena the county detective who has thoroughly investigated this situation and knows the actual facts.
I would recommend to the board that request be denied, because today is the date and time for the challenge. We are planning to adjourn for a few moments, but we intend to reconvene probably within the half hour.
If the county has full knowledge, Mr. Solicitor, sir, then why would the county not want to subpoena the county detective in the matter because he has forward knowledge
And
of?
Mr. Litz, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but until this moment in time when you brought that up, you brought that to our attention, I don't believe, and I don't want to speak for everyone, we had no idea that the county detective was ever even involved in this. And so, unbeknownst to us, after reading your statements and then you bringing it up here, we had no idea that that was even a part of this situation.
But now that you do have full knowledge, wouldn't it be blindsight to not?
I think in a perfect world, but as Solicitor Hauser said, this is the hearing, and so now we are forced to make a decision with the information that we have in front of us.
Let me just
Correct.
let me
Let me ask-
hold on, stop. Let me just interject for a moment. Again, the county, I would say, does not have knowledge of anything at this point regarding that, because all we have is one statement that somebody was contacted and looked into something. I would remind the challenger that he filed documentation that was submitted to Ms. Boileau and was sent to myself that cited a number of statutes that I then had to research that I think were generated possibly with AI, because those statutes do not exist as far as recusal and things like that. And so why I say that is the mere fact that something is put in writing does not make it true. If statutes that don't exist can be cited on a piece of paper, anything can be said in a proceeding. The question is, do we have evidence? There was ample notice given to all parties that today is the date and time to present whatever evidence you wish to present. Both parties have had a full and fair opportunity to do so, and it is now time then for the board to make its decision. And of course, Commissioner Harding, if you want to hear closing arguments from the parties, that's fine.
My question
I've
is,
never been in a situation, so I'm asking you if that's something that we do to give everyone a moment to just,
Yeah,
before we go into executive session. So it wasn't a request on my part as much as maybe a question to you whether or not that would be appropriate.
It would be fine. I think it would be fine, and given that it looks to me from their body language like both parties have something to say, I think it would be worthwhile to allow them to say whatever it is. So if Mr. Litz wants to
I just
finish
have
his.
one question for the solicitor, and then I'll be done. What are my options for appeal?
I cannot advise you as to that, sir. You have to retain your own counsel.
So are you counsel for the Brunos?
No, I am counsel for the county.
Okay.
He's Coast County solicitor.
I'm just wondering, just from a legal
His
angle.
job is to guide us.
His job is to tell us the law, and then we follow his lead, so we don't have the
Correct.
county in trouble
Correct.
legally, okay? So
Correct.
that's why he's here.
And if Ms. Bruno has anything she wants to state, now would be the time to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, I was investigated, and with his investigation and everything that I provided, the same thing that I provided for you, the case was dropped, and he let the council know that it was dropped. and he gave them a letter to that as well. But I have to say this on my defense too, is that when I was out there sitting, Beth Whitty told me that this gentleman over here puts a lot of things on social media that are scary. I don't really see this gentleman's stuff on social media. And it's a little scary. And so I personally am a little afraid.
All right, so what I would advise the board to do in light of what Mr. Litz has said and what the challengee has said, there are now two statements about a county detective doing something or not doing something or saying something or not saying something or giving a letter or whatever. None of that is actually before the board other than the hearsay statements of the parties as to what that may have involved, if anything. And so I would caution the board to give it the weight of hearsay from both sides.
At this time, I would move to request an executive session of the Board of Elections Board.
And if everyone would excuse themselves for 5-10 minutes, yeah, you can take these. And just put on the record an executive session was held for the purposes of providing legal advice.
Mr. President or Chairman, at this time, I'll make a motion based on the evidence provided here today that we deny the residency challenge of Tracy Bruno. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
A written decision will then issue. You can adjourn then. If that's-
Oh, yeah. I already have.
We have some other items on our
Oh.
agenda.
Are we done?
You know, everybody's welcome to stay or leave as you may see fit. We're moving to the next item on the agenda. If you wish, yeah. Mr. Litz,
We're done. Thank you.
I have your exhibits to return to you here. And Ms. Bruno, here are yours.
Make a motion, we adjourn at this time.
I just want to thank everyone.
I'll second it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.